Thank you very much. Some of you may have noticed me scribbling madly. I hadn't written my speech yet. But I'm so delighted to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me and for allowing me the opportunity to share a few of my ideas with you. You know, I came here 3 years ago. I don't recognize you as individuals, but I remember you were just in grade 10. You were these little scared little kids. Now you're grown men and women about to embark on the next stage of your life. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. And I give you all my best wishes as you advance through the next stage of your life. But of course, when I congratulate you, I have to congratulate Mom and Dad, who not only worked hard to get you to this point, but have had to, I am sure, to put up with a lot of stuff from you as you have begun to look out at the bigger world. So congratulations to Mom and Dad, who have been such a big part in getting you here. And I can't not acknowledge your principal, Jean Gray, the first one to contact me about the David Suzuki High School. And congratulations on the job you did to get this up and to see the first group of graduates here. And congratulations and best wishes to you in the next stage of your life as well. We expect to hear a lot from you yet. For a long time, I had letters asking if it would be okay to name a school after me, and I turned it down. I just always said, I don't deserve it. It's too great an honor for me. And my wife finally straightened me out and said, listen, Suzuki, it's not about you and your little ego. It's about the ideas and what you've come to represent in your public life over the long years. And that's what gave me the temerity to accept the invitation to name the high school after me. Thank you so much for that great privilege. But coming here today, what I hope is that you, as graduates of this school, will be imbued with some of the ideas that I have and will become ambassadors for these ideas as you go out to the rest of your life. A lot of young people at your age come to me and say, well, what can I do to protect the planet? And my answer is, follow your heart. Environmentalism isn't a discipline or a specialty, like being a garage mechanic or a plumber or a doctor or a business person. Environmentalism is about seeing our place on the planet. And I think this is the greatest challenge we face today. Most of us we live in cities, especially in Canada. We're a very urban nation. And the shocking thing to me is that the average Canadian child today spends over 6 hours a day in front of a television, computer, or a cell phone screen, and less than 8 minutes a day outside. And I think we've lost that sense of connectedness. We've lost the most important message that environmentalism has to give us, and that is that we are animals. And as animals, our biological nature dictates our most fundamental need. Now, when I say to an audience like this, now remember, we are animals. A lot of your moms and dads get really mad at me. Don't call my daughter an animal. We're human beings. And my answer to that is, oh, if you're not an animal, are you a plant? We are animals. And as animals, the highest priority we have is dictated by our animal nature. The minute every one of us left our mother's body, the first thing we needed was a breath of air. That first breath inflated our lungs and allowed us to announce, I have arrived on this planet. And from that moment on to the last breath we take before we die, we need air every minute of our lives. And we don't think about it. If you don't have air for more than 3 or 4 minutes, you're dead. If you have to breathe contaminated air all your life, you're sick. So I would think that the highest priority we all have as human beings is to protect clean air. It's the absolute basis of our health and survival and our well-being. And of course, every one of us is at least 60% water by weight. Or just a big blob of water with enough thickener added so I don't dribble away on the floor. And we're constantly drinking water to top up water. Sure, if we don't have water for more than 3 or 4 days, we're dead. If we drink polluted water all our lives, we're sick. So surely protecting clean water should be one of our highest priorities as animals. And of course, every bit of the food that we eat to grow and move, become human beings, all of that food that is our nutrition that we turn into our bodies was once alive. Plants, animals, we take their carcasses, tear them apart in our mouth, and make them into who we are. So our food is mainly vegetables, plants that come from the soil, are a critical part of who we are. Protecting the soil and the plants surely should be a high priority. We boast that we are intelligent. You are now graduating from high school. It shows that you've achieved a certain level of knowledge, demonstrated your intelligence. What intelligent creature, knowing the role that air and water and soil play in our lives and well-being, would think that it's okay to use air, water, and soil to dump our most toxic chemicals? This doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm told over and over when I speak to politicians and business people, listen, Suzuki, you've got to know the bottom line is the economy. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, if you don't have air for more than 4 minutes, you're dead. Isn't that the real bottom line? So I hope that as you come through the David Suzuki High School, that you will have acquired these very simple truths. Truths that come to us most profoundly from our First Nations brothers and sisters who tell us that we are created out of Mother Earth. And I'd like to just end on 2 stories that I hope you will think about as you leave this school. In the 1990s, Hong Kong was reverting back to China. And a lot of people in Hong Kong were worried about this and began to send their money out of Hong Kong to buy property in Canada. I live in a very special part of Vancouver, right on the ocean, and I got a letter from a real estate agent that said, offshore money is pouring into Vancouver. Now is a good time to sell your house and buy up. I'd never heard the expression selling a house and buying up. I thought what you do is you invest money and effort and you create a home. I didn't know you start with a starter house and then buy a bigger one and bigger. That's crazy as far as I'm concerned, but I said, okay, you guys want to sell my home? I'm going to put down all the things that make my property my home. And the first thing I put down was the fact that when we bought this house 35 years ago, my wife's mother and father I invited to move in with us. And when he retired as a superintendent of schools, he and his wife moved in. I put a second floor on the house, and they have lived with us for 35 years. So I put that down, that my children have had grandma and granddad upstairs all their lives. When I was married 42 years ago, my wife and I rented an apartment. My father was a kitchen cabinet maker. He built a beautiful kitchen cabinet and installed it in our apartment. When I bought this house, I tore the cabinet out and put it in our kitchen. Looks like hell. It doesn't belong there. But every time I use that kitchen cabinet, I think of my father, and I put that down. And when my mother died, along the back fence is a clematis plant, and I put my mother's ashes on that plant. And when my niece Janice died unexpectedly, I put her ashes on the clematis plant. And every year when that clematis plant blooms, I know that my mother and my niece are there. And I put that down. And my kids over the years have dragged roadkill off the road, and they've got a little animal cemetery under our dogwood tree, and I put that down. And as I made that list of what made my property my home, I realized those are the things that to me make my property my home. And to me, they're priceless. But on the market, they're worthless. And that's the problem when you say that the economy is the bottom line. The things that really matter most to us have no value in this economic system. And then I think of First Nations people all across this planet who have lived there in their territory for thousands of years, where the earth, every rock, every river is sacred. And we put no value on that, on things that are sacred. And that's the great lesson that we have to gain from our First Nations people. And I just want to tell you one more story, that the great teacher in my life, my great love and mentor, was my father. And in 1994, when my father was 85, he was dying. He knew he was dying. He wasn't afraid. And thank goodness that he was not in pain. And I moved in to take care of him the last month of his life. And that was the happiest time I spent with my father. We laughed, we cried, my wife would bring slides of trips we'd taken together, and we had a wonderful time. And he kept saying to me, "David, I die a rich man." He never had any money. My wife and I supported him and my mother in the last years of their life, financially. He kept saying, "I die a rich man." And as I thought about what we talked about, all we talked about, he never said, "Remember that great cupboard of clothes that I had in London, Ontario, or that big car I bought in 1988, or the house that we had next to the university in London." All we talked about were family, friends, and neighbors, and things that we did together. That, at the last part of his life, as my father was dying, that's what mattered most to him. Those experiences with other people. Who can say the economy is the bottom line? And that, I think, is what environmentalism teaches us, about our place on this planet and the things in our lives that really matter. So thank you for being students of the Suzuki High School. And I look to you to carry the message that you've acquired here this time out as you travel through the rest of your life. Follow your heart. We need everybody to see the world through the eyes of environmentalism. So we need musicians and artists and garage mechanics. We need everybody to see the world that way. Follow your heart and change whatever you do to fit through the lenses of environmentalism. Good luck to all of you.